Okay, Madam Speaker, everybody, good afternoon. Now, the topic for today is alcohol should be totally banned. And within this topic, the most important words or the key words are totally and banned. Now, we managed to define totally as completely, and we also managed to define banned as to stop regulating or stop being used within a given society. Now, we also managed to define alcohol as any intoxicating beverage. So our central argument is that alcohol, especially right now considering the current economic crunch in Zimbabwe, should be totally banned, basing on the negative ramifications or the negative implications that it has, ladies and gentlemen. So firstly, our parameters are set within Zimbabwe, and secondly, it is also set within the next 10 years, because right now we are engaging in a period of nation building. So within that period, we feel that due to the economic social ramifications of alcohol, which we are going to lay out, which justify the banning of alcohol, we should totally ban alcohol use within those specific years. Then we can consider re-legislating the laws later on. So firstly, I mentioned that alcohol has social ramifications, right? Now, the reason why we came up with this motion is because of the problems that alcohol has introduced within our given nation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, number one, we find that due to alcohol abuse, we have found problems of risky behaviors, especially among teenagers and even among adults, ladies and gentlemen. Now, risky behaviors have led to the abuse of other people. Risky behaviors have led to many road traffic accidents. They have also led, ladies and gentlemen, to other people violating other people's rights, raping other people, and then claiming that they were intoxicated at the moment, and then the law has to be refined in a way that does not punish the person as compared to how they would have been punished under rational grounds, right? So we believe that those problems necessitate the justification of banning alcohol totally, so that we focus on nation building rather than focusing on petty issues within Zimbabwe, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we also give you our stakeholders analysis that alcohol is not a beverage that affects one person only, but it also affects other people who do not drink. So if you consume alcohol, your behavior is also going to affect other people, ladies and gentlemen, in a detrimental way. We have cases of dads who abuse their mothers, their spouses, their wives, because they were intoxicated, ladies and gentlemen. And that in itself, because of our moral fabric as Africans, we are justified to say, you know what, we do not need this beverage in society. We also tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that in the current economic crunch, there is a need for us to focus on nation building, right? But also how alcohol abuse and alcohol addiction is impacting the family. We have dads who are neglecting to pay their children's fees, and then because they are alcohol addicts, they would rather spend that money consuming alcohol, ladies and gentlemen. And that now is affecting the society, where we have a society that have negative self-esteem because of their breadwinner being addicted to alcohol abuse, ladies and gentlemen. So on those grounds, there is a need for us to say alcohol consumption has to be totally banned. Let us first focus on building our nation, ladies and gentlemen.
We at the non-affirmative side, we accept the given motion, but deny the total banning of a beverage given as a social need. Ladies and gentlemen, let's acknowledge numerous business interests. Let's consider business that have developed and risen from selling alcohol in the world. Total banning will lead to numerous economic collapsing. That's our first argument. The second argument is that it will increase unemployment, in the sense that unemployment, which is a social ill that has crippled the generation in existence. Our third argument is that biased chance in consideration of other people's interests, just because but just a few lack interest doesn't justify the need to overrule other people's interests. And the fourth one is that a breach against scientific development.
As a society, we would like to focus on what is so important to the individual. And we feel like what is important to the individual is the utility of the individual, or the individual is in a state whereby to think and to actually be accountable for their actions the next day. And we feel like this alcohol does not cut it for this. Then this totally ban that have been given, parameter of 10 years by my partner, is important. Why? Because in Zimbabwe we've focused on building industries of creating alcohol and not innovation, as they have claimed. This as they claim that this is a breeding ground for scientific innovations, but then you'd find out that we're spending most time on scientific innovations on the flavor of alcohol instead of institutions that can actually help us tomorrow. And number two, alcohol will lead to an economic growth. We feel like we're having a focus on the wrong thing. And when we divert it to where we can actually employ more people, then it becomes okay. Because no one at the university here is studying on how to innovate a new flavor for alcohol. And therefore, when I finish my education, I will not have a job at the end of the day simply because there's an industry that is catering for the other people in the society. And who is the market? The market, we feel, are the people who are poor in this economy. Now the economy is at a detrimental position. And by that, ladies and gentlemen, you'd actually find out that we actually have alcohol that costs $20 now going up to $80 or $60. And that guy who doesn't even have money will sacrifice still because he has an addiction and he loves the taste of innovation, as they have actually wanted to put it. So we feel like that is the focus on a wrong thing for the economy, because what are we gaining from alcohol? And that we feel that that is totally absurd and unfair, because at the end of the day, it means that we have a shift as a national goal that does not have a national goal by 2030, new dispensation. It has nothing to do with it. So what as a society do we have to lose by totally banning alcohol? Totally nothing. Because we know that even if we totally ban it, we cannot come to your house and see that you actually are not drinking. You will drink, so drink there. But then we are saying that as soon as you are found, because it is now illegalized, then it becomes a problem to society, simply because we are shifting market on the wrong things. And as we say, it is less politics and more economic growth. And that economic growth I need to have a job as soon as I finish my political science degree. And by that, of making sure we build more industries on alcohol, they are not actually helping the society. So let them use that money to innovate and actually focus on investing on good things that will actually make sure our economy runs the right way.
Ladies and gentlemen, the affirmative side just choose to be ignorant against the fact that alcohol is just not only used as a drinking beverage, it is actually contributing to the very biological aspect of us having many scientific breakthroughs. You have to understand, I am a science student, and the alcohol is used for many things like desterilisation. But the moment you ban that, you should also introduce an alternative that we should use. Ladies and gentlemen, they come to say that it is only based on the actual social ills that are existing due to the alcohol. But what we are saying is that alcohol actually does not implant a new nature in you. It's just only promoting what is already there. If you were thinking of beating your wife, alcohol just reveals your thought into actions. So we do not blame alcohol, but actually the very social disintegration that is in existence. Ladies and gentlemen, we actually stand against them just looking at the negative part. You should always have a cost-benefit analysis. It is because the very policy that they are trying to introduce, many people have tried to introduce it as we have researched, but it has improved actually impractical, because you are choosing to close 1 million industries that have actually led to the economic development that were in existence. Right now, for many sporting activities that are around, many schools that have been funded by the very industries, you are saying that we should close down. Look at the very economic impact before you choose to place something. Ladies and gentlemen, they should understand that actually when you drink alcohol, you happen to have a lower risk of getting cancer, which is the very prevailing thing that is actually killing many of us. So before you ban it, you should introduce an alternative of actually reducing cancer. Because as I believe in my science students, there is no cure for cancer. So why are you reducing the only alternative that is reducing that very impact in our society? So we are saying that you should understand that the scientific innovation related to the very use of alcohol is very practical for us, especially as scientific students. What you are implying is that we should totally ban alcohol. And then what then should we use? Give us alternatives. They failed to prove their case. That is, you are banning, what are you replacing with? Because when you close down industries, those people are unemployed. Tell us that you're going to open up new industries because you are leaving those people unemployed. You rather say you are closing down and totally banning, yes, you are opening up new industries. But if you are not, what are you doing to those people who are unemployed? Ladies and gentlemen, you already live in a society that is being killed by the very social ill of unemployment. Why do you want to decrease the very development that is already failing to sustain itself in the very existence? They are talking about economic growth when you actually close down the industries. But ladies and gentlemen, we still stand to say that consider the main economic, social, and political aspects of this before you imply something that you don't merely understand. Thank you.